I should mention that the director of this episode is a fellow by the name of Gene Reynolds. Gene Reynolds was actually the president of the Directors Guild of America at the time that he directed this episode. I didn't know that. Previously, he'd been heavily involved with the show MASH. He won a lot of awards and nominations, and just a very successful guy. And there he was working with us on the Little Promised Land show. Very unassuming guy, quiet, but just did his job and did it quite well for us. Here we are at Liberty Park. We've got a lot of extras here showed up to participate in the show, and they got to see a little bit of music performed later on live, have a little bit of a concert, but for the most part, I didn't get to see too much entertainment in real life. Now, here we are again at the practical location, somebody's house. Now, whenever we used someone's real house like this, the real homeowners just had to leave. I mean, I never saw, or rarely saw any trace of the real homeowners when we went and used a location like this. And a lot of times they would have, the locations department would take over. They'd be in charge, and we had just a top-notch locations department, so there's no trouble there. But they would have some contingency plans, and maybe even like a little insurance policy if we did any damage to the place inadvertently. A lot of times they would have ideas about changing furniture and things like that within the house. So, you can imagine a film crew coming to your house, moving all your furniture out, moving their own furniture in, and just taking the place over all day while they're using your house, and they really don't want you around. They would have to turn off air conditioners or heaters or refrigerators, things like that, usually to take care of the noise problem. Because when you're shooting a scene like this, it's a very quiet scene. The two people having a quiet conversation with each other, and if the furnace is turning on and off, or the refrigerator is turning on and off, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be picked up by the microphones. And oh wait, let me show you here another cameo appearance. A couple of guys from our camera crew right there walking by. The one guy was actually our director of photography, and the other guy was one of our electricians. And they decided just at the last minute they were going to make themselves extras in the scene. So our director of photography put his hat on backwards and tried to make himself look a little bit more like a hippie or something. So Matt and Sam in the scene. It was funny because we were standing there getting ready to shoot that particular shot, and just at the last second, the director of photography said, "I'm going in. I'm going to be in this one." And I thought, okay, he just told the assistant director he wanted to be in the shot. Okay. It was fun there at the beginning when we had cameo appearances by, crew members and or their dogs or stuff like that. It's fun for me to watch that and to watch it all these years later and go, hey, that's our friend, or that's our boss, or whoever it was. Well, in this scene here, they're talking about, their respective thoughts and concerns about what's going on. And in this scene, the widow of Graham Riley realizes that if she had ever told her husband to give up music for her, it would have been devastating. And then suddenly she goes, oh no, wait a minute, I've just asked my son to give up music, and it must be so devastating. He'll leave me and never come back, because music is such an important part. It was such an important part of my dead husband's life, that if I took that away from my son, he'd really struggle. So, all right. So here Josh finally finds good old Trevor Riley. Something that wasn't maybe obvious to me at the time was that there's we've all heard of the big Hollywood award shows, whether it's the Oscars or the Emmys or things like that. They actually have special award shows for young actors. And so our cast members on Promised Land were recognized for their roles. Now, I don't know if there was just nominations or if they won anything. I honestly don't remember. But so for a show like this, all three of our regular young cast members were, they went and attended these awards shows for young actors. And Benjamin here, his real name, that plays Trevor, he was, I believe, up for an award or nomination, something, for his role on this show. The show he was normally on, I think, was The Nanny. I don't know. But, so this was a chance for him to do something different, a dramatic role. And they actually, the two of these guys, put a lot of effort into playing the song or the songs when you saw them playing, and you'll see them later, playing instruments. They didn't want to just fake it, even though in the end, with all the editing and the recordings and stuff was all going to be put together, probably what they were doing would be replaced. But they really wanted to be authentic for that. And that was kind of cool. All right, so now we're going to switch to the performance. Here this is supposed to be, some local musician at open mic night or something. So we see a few seconds, and they're right in the front of the stage. You can see the cameraman, our cameraman, appearing in the shot. And I believe you're going to see that again in a few moments. Okay, just panning the crowd here. And, the young woman there with kind of the plaid shirt on over her T-shirt, that was Haley, and she was one of our stand-ins. I think that, she was kind of discovered during the making of this episode, and then she became one of our regular stand-ins for quite a while after that, standing in for Sarah, playing the role of Dinah. All right, so here we are finally. I think this was even shot on a Friday night, so when we did night work, it was usually scheduled for the end of the week so that if we went late into the night, it wouldn't affect the next morning's work as much. So I think this was a Friday night, all gathered around here at the bandstand, actually shooting at night. And so here, within the storyline, Josh has gone to open mic night to play his song, and Trevor has decided to join him on stage. And Josh just told the whole crowd that, hey, this is my friend Trevor Riley, and his dad was a guy named Graham. And so now the crowd's going nuts. And either they all know him because they're a local Evanston crowd, or they've been just blown away by the idea that, wow, here we're finally going to see this guy performing on stage. In that shot that you just saw, if you look closely, you could see the shadow of the Steadicam operator. So right here, these close-ups here, you've got the Steadicam operator kind of moving back and forth in the front of the stage and getting that nice, smooth shot there without using a dolly and tracks and things. They shot with more than one camera. I think they shot with two cameras. So this is Steadicam right there. Now that's a camera on a tripod. And you'll see a wide shot, or similar probably to the one that you saw earlier, where you'll see in the wide shot, you'll see the Steadicam guy in the shot. So again, this is Austin and Benjamin actually having learned how to play this song. And maybe they're not playing it quite as smoothly as what you're actually hearing on the recorded soundtrack here. But they're doing a really good job of following along with, the pacing and timing of what it needed to be. For a scene like this, they would have had a song pre-recorded so that in each separate take, they could play back the same recording, and therefore the musicians, the actors performing on stage, can maintain the same consistent timing so that in the editing it all goes together really smoothly. And so that's what they normally do. They have playback, and then they just sort of lip sync, or the equivalent of lip syncing when it's pretending to play. In this case, they really were playing, but then what they were actually playing was replaced by the recording they were following along with. Okay, so this is again the Steadicam. We had more than one camera operator on the Promised Land show, on the run of the show. When this episode was being made, we hadn't quite yet met Rory, who became our longest running camera operator through the course of the series. But the camera operator we had at this time, he had his own Steadicam rig, just like Rory later on had his own Steadicam rig, and we're watching a lot of Steadicam work here. On this particular night, when we were waiting to do this scene, or these scenes here at night here, there was a point where we had finished all the day work, and we were just waiting for it to get dark enough, the sun to go down, and for it to get dark enough so we could finish up. And during that time when we were all just kind of sitting around waiting for dark, Joe Walsh went up on stage and had a guitar and was just kind of messing around with it a little bit, trying to, just kind of some picking and grinning, if you will. And he never quite got going on that. And he told the props guy that he didn't like the guitar that was there on stage. It just didn't feel comfortable to him. And so we had this opportunity where we could have seen Joe Walsh do a little impromptu concert for us, just jamming on a guitar. But as it turns out, his standards for a guitar were so high that he just didn't like the guitar that they had there. So it never happened. We just saw him kind of, messing around a little bit, but never really playing any music for us. Would have been cool. But it's okay. I can respect that Joe Walsh didn't want to play with that guitar. This next thing you're about to see in this scene, I wasn't expecting this. I guess I hadn't read the script well enough to realize that Celeste Holm herself was going to perform. So they actually pre-recorded her doing this, or they may have recorded it right there on the spot, and then in the various takes they did from the different camera angles, they used the playback of her recording again to maintain the pacing of consistently through each take. But the great Celeste Holm is singing for us live as we're working on this scene, and that's kind of cool because she was well known as an Oscar-winning actress, but also a lot of stage work and working in dramatic roles and musical roles, and so here she was on our show. We didn't get a lot of times, a lot of opportunities to have her sing within the context of the stories we were doing, but here we got to do it, and wow, what a class act Celeste Holm was singing for us, and it just warms my heart to see her again up there on stage. Oh, we love Celeste.